we must remember after learning this chapter. So first, let's discuss about what is social responsibility and what factors influence their decisions.
So to find out what is social responsibility, we will compare it to similar concepts, that is social obligations and also social responsiveness. Social obligations is the things business must do based on obligation to meet certain economic and legal responsibility. Moreover, social responsiveness is the company's response to some popular social trend. For instance, social networking Facebook set up a Japan earthquake page called Safety Check for users to find information about disaster relief. So, social responsibility as a business intentions beyond its legal and economic obligations to do the right thing and act in ways that are good for society.
To move on, we will explain the green management and how organizations go green.
This is green management. So this is the level of environmental sensitivity. For the first approach, that is the legal approach or the light green, is simply doing what is required legally, and this approach illustrates social obligations. And then as an organization becomes more sensitive to environmental issues, it may adopt market approach and respond to environmental preference of customer. Then in the stakeholder approach, an organization works to meet the environmental demands of multiple stakeholders, and this illustrates social responsiveness. Finally, when a business pursues an activist that or dark green approach, it looks for ways to protect the earth, nature, environment, and the approach reflects the highest degree of environmental sensitivity and illustrates social responsibility.
Next, we will discuss about the factors that lead to ethical and unethical behavior.
That is the managers and ethical behavior. So this is the factors that determine ethical and unethical behavior. We can see that this is the stage of moral development, and the researcher divides moral development into 3 levels. That is pre-conventional, conventional, and the highest principle, each having 2 stages. At each successive stage, an individual moral judgment becomes less dependent on outside influence and more internalized. And for the individual characteristics, we have 3 elements here that are values, ego strength, and also locus of control. Locus of control is the degree to which people believe they can control their own fate. Ego strength measures the strength of a person's convictions, and values represent the basic convictions about what is right or wrong. Obviously, in the previous chapter, we have learned about organizational culture. Organizational culture design can influence whether employees behave ethical or not. And for the last element, that is issue intensity. This is the 6 characteristics determine issue intensity, or how important an ethical issue is to an individual.
Hi, my name is Queen, and I'm gonna talk about part 4. In this part, we have 3 main points. The first one is encouraging ethical behavior. The second is cost of ethics, and the last one is process for addressing ethical dilemmas.
So, in the first part, encouraging ethical behavior, the first step is selecting the employee, and the selection of the employees can be considered as a crucial part for an organization because through this process an organization can evaluate about an employee moral level. And after having selected the employees, the organization should have more workshops for training and also acknowledge the employees more clearly about the ethical guidelines. And besides that, a manager needs to concern about the ethic rather than just the economic results, and the manager should also allow the employee who face the ethical dilemmas to do what is right without the fear of punishment. And the second part is the cost of ethics. And cost of ethics is a formal statement of an organization primary values and ethical rules. The cost will consist of three clusters, and the cost should be specific enough for the employee to understand about the organization ethnic spirit. And the last one is the process of addressing ethical dilemmas. This will consist of 5 steps, and a process for addressing ethical dilemmas can be said to be a tool for manager to establish the course of ethics. And in conclusion, the manager should influence the employee not only through the ethical guidelines but also through action so that the employee can take that as an influence and follow to do what is right.
In part 5, we're going to talk about current social responsibility and ethics issues.
So, manager can avoid ethical lapses and social responsibility by being an ethical leader. So that means manager should be a good role model for the employees. They need to be honest to share their values and also emphasize the important shared values. They should use a reward system appropriately and also protect the whistleblowers, which are the employees that raise the ethical issues are concerned. And social entrepreneurs are the ones who want to make the world a better place, so they always find the opportunity to solve the social problems by improving society with their practical, innovative, and sustainable approaches. And not only through social entrepreneurs, business can promote the positive social change through corporate philanthropy and also the employees' volunteer efforts.
I will answer the question in the case 1 named a novel wellness cultures. I will summarize in a short. Wellness is a social opportunity for everyone, for government that can reduce the cost of healthcare for the company to stimulate their members to be more creative and productive, and for the all citizens to improve their health and daily lifestyle. It is the lifestyle promoted by technology, which aims with improving people's quality of life through the education and regular physical exercise. a balanced diet and positive mental attitude. This is the idea behind the work of the Wellness Foundation, the non-profit organization created more than 10 years ago by Nerio Alexandri with the goal of sharing his 20-year experience in the fitness, wellness, and health sectors in order to create a more sustainable society thanks to the promotion of wellness and a healthy lifestyle.
Technology can balance being socially responsible and being focused on profit by getting individual investor to support its cause and maintain a good business model. Being socially responsible cuts costs and makes process less dangerous or harmful to the environment or people in the company. They have to allocate proportions of their profit to donate show and eyewear, and they have promote their social responsibility to attract the customer. It's social responsibility because their brand is very focused on making a world a better place. The CEO is very passionate about helping others, and his experience in the show, The Amazing Race, touched his heart. Incorporate societal goal into the annual planning process. 6. Comparison industry's norm for the social program present report to organization member, the board of director and stockholder on the social responsibility program experience with different approach for the measuring social performance.
The case application 2 is about the lesson from Lehman Brothers. In the question number 1, the leadership of Lehman Brothers let them get away from what they're supposed to do, and the financial reward take over their decision-making process, making decisions that were much riskier than their own control were designed. The leadership, the cultures at the Lehman Brothers were employees who need to take risks and achievers. Also, the financial problem and management led to the downfall of the company. I think the Lehman executive plays a major role in its downfall because of the reckless decision being made on the top manager, or by not collaborating with the company as a whole. Lastly, they put in place a system to hide the transaction and balances on the accounting period. There are things that could have been done if there were a top manager that actually care about the company much more than themselves. That would have a lot. And there is an organization that provided the rotten stewardship of the customer finance. I will say this situation because there are also those people who seek an easy way to make more profit for themselves without considering ones for whom they are supposed to work in. Just all.
Hi guys, in chapter 7 we are going to present managing change and innovations.
Firstly, I will compare and contrast the view on change process. There are two very different metaphors used to describe the change process and present very different approaches to understanding and responding to change. Initially, the Camp Warren metaphors was fairly descriptive of the situation manager faced and included 3-step process: unfreezing status quo, equilibrium, changing to the new state, and refreezing to make the change permanent. For this method, an occasional description means planning and implementing the change to deal with description. Secondly, in terms of the white warrior rabbit metaphor, the change is ongoing and managing is a continual process. In the second part, I will show you the definition of organizational change and some kind of types of organizational change. Organizational change is an alteration of people, technology, and structure. Also, it's called a change agent, which can be a manager within an organization, but could be the non-manager. For instance, when a business wants to make the major changes about the companies, they often tend to hire outside consultants to provide them advice and assistance. As I told you above, there are three types of organizational changes: technology, people, and structure. Now let's take a look at them more closely. Organizational structure consists of two factors: structural components and structural design. Both of them influenced by the external environment and organizational strategy. Structural components defines as how the work gets done and who does it. Another option is the structural design, which is to make major changes such as the product divisions were expanded, dropped, or merged. Next, this is the technology changing. That involves the introduction of the new equipment, tools, method, automation, and computerization. The core purpose of changing technology is to push or increase the production efficiency. And then final type is the people alteration, including changing attitude, expectation, perception, and behaviors. The main goal is more effective interpersonal work relationship. And why is the people they prefer to, resisting to change, and here are some solutions to reduce the resistance to change. The people they resist to change because of uncertainty, concern, habits over personal loss, and the belief. Here are the several solutions to reduce the resistance. Education and communication help people to see the logic of change effort. Participation, manipulation, facilitation, and negotiation, and coercion. Finish.
Hello everyone, my name is Win and will present the learning object 3 and 4 in the chapter 7. In my part, the technique for the reducing resistance to change. In this part, it is divided into 6 sections. That is education and communication, participation, facilitation and support, negotiation, manipulation and cooperation, and coercion.
In the first section, it can help to reduce resistance to change by helping employees see the logics of the change efforts. Next, that is the participation involved bringing the individual directly affected by the purpose change into the decision-making process. Next, facilitation and support involved by helping employees deal with the fear and associate with the change effort. Negotiation involves exchanging something of the value for the agreement to lessen the resistance to change the effort. Next is the manipulation and cooperation refer to the covert open to influence the other about the change. And finally, the coercion. It can be used to deal with the resistance to change. Coercion involves the use of the direct threat for the existence to register. Talking about the changing organizational cultures, cultures are naturally resistant to change. There are 4 conditions that facilitate cultural change. First of all, the occurrence of the dramatic curious. Next is the leadership changing hands, and a young, flexible, and small organization. And finally, that is a weak organization culture. Let's talking about the stress. Stress is the adverse reaction people have to execute pressure placed on them from the demand, constraints, or opportunity. Stress isn't always bad, although it is often discussed in the negative context. Stress can be positive, especially when it offers a potential gain. Stress can be caused by personal factor and by the job-related factor called stressor. There are three causes of stress, that is role conflict, role overload, and role ambiguity. First one, role conflicts create expectations that may be hard to reconcile to satisfy. Role overload is experienced when the employee is expected to do more than time permit. And finally, role ambiguity is created when role expectations are not clearly understood and the employee is not sure that he or she is doing. And we also have two types of personal factors that can create stress. First on type A, that is the type of people who have chronic sins or view agency and an execute community driver. And the type B is opposite with type A. That is the people who are relaxed and easygoing and accept for change easily.
To infinity and beyond!
Case study 1 is about AS Quotient Group. And AS Quotient Group established in 1828 in southern China. And in 1981, it was acquired by a Hong Kong corporate, and it continued to expand its business to Asia, America, and Europe. After the expansion, Quotient find difficult to transfer a local pharmacy into a global group. But after all, they come with the solution and gaining competitive advantage of unique shopping experience.
And the change in 1990s occurred mainly because of the business expansion. For example, they launched many mergers and acquisitions in Europe and Asia. And to smooth the change, Quotient tries to customize the customer needs based on the geographical preferences. About the philosophy, look good, feel great, and have fun, it's a convincible slogan to the customer because everyone wants to look good and feel great about themselves. And with this slogan, the company offers a unique shopping experience through professional advice, interest shopping environment, and the promise of great value every day, while the other competitors only focus on effective distribution system or lower labor costs. Quotient try to create a shopping experience with skilled employees in the store. And Quotient was the first business to identify and bring the solution to fulfill the needs of their middle-class consumer. So that's why other companies should take a lesson from them in how to target the niche market and the way Quotient training their employees with specialized knowledge. And for the last questions, to become successful, Quotient has been capable to identify the middle class consumer in Asia. And it also comes with a creative concept of personal care store with excellent customer service.
For the questions 1, I was not really surprised what was happening in the case. I know there are many things in the workplace that go unannounced, so I believe all the accusations could be true. The factors inside the company whereas the pressure to reduce jobs by 22,000, the psychological harassment, and also the working conditions. And for the external factors, there were the amount of products wanted in productions, how technology is advanced, and also the low pay of employment. So for the question 2, I believe that in the French telecom workplace, it appeared that the company was using psychological pressures and also pathogenic restructuring that caused the employee immense stress and also the feeling of insecurity in the globalizations. Therefore, doctors saying there was psychological dangers with these factors such as anxiety, dissatisfactions, or boredom. And there are also other physical factors like headaches and also increased blood pressures. Moreover, there are behavioral symptoms like change in productivity and also addiction. So for the question 3, I quite believe that managers shouldn't make decisions that are in the best interest of the company without worrying about employees' reactions, because employees are the largest and the most important part of the company. Therefore, they need to feel like they are significant and a part of the change to come. Managers need to communicate with their employees about what they want and get them to participate more and more in the company. In the questions 4, we can see that French telecom executives changed their CEO and he wanted to rebuild the morale of staff who are been through trauma, suffering, and much worse. So he ended some company practice that were negative like involuntary transfers and add more supportive practices like working from home. He also worked with the unions to cover many workplace issues. Obviously, I strongly believe these were right action to take. And for the last questions, other companies could learn that they need to truly consider their employees are as significant to the company or they will face terrible results. They can also learn to monitor and trace or train inside the company to make sure employees are doing their best while also not suffering at work due to any factors like in this case.